These are the stories
My little girl, she's changing lives just by being herself.
of organizations and people making a difference.
When you first tell someone about adaptive wheelchair boxing, it doesn't sound real.
And empowering others.
It saved my life. It saved my life.
Across Canada.
I scored my first goal in my first blind hockey game.
In our community.
My name is Vicki Keith, and I am the founder of the Kingston Y Penguins. The Kingston Y Penguins are a swim team for kids with physical disabilities and their able-bodied siblings. I started the Kingston Y Penguins because there didn't seem to be, first of all, a place for young people with disabilities. And what I discovered was every small community was lacking in programs for kids with disabilities. And so I wanted to create something that could be replicatable and a place where not just the kids with disabilities, but their siblings could participate together. And we started out with 3 kids in the shallow end of the program. One of them was still a non-swimmer, and we just started slowly building from that. And within a couple of years, we had our first provincial qualifier, and we built from there to having athletes do open water swims across Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, athletes qualifying for the Pan Am Games, other national competitions, international competitions. And one athlete competed at the Paralympics. I think that any parent that's signing their child up for the Kingston Y Penguins is signing their child up because they want them to have community. They want them to have a place that they can play. They want them to have a place where they can focus on their abilities. And we have become famous for that. People want a place for their young people to participate, to belong. And that's become the Y Penguins.
Jack Morgan has been swimming with the Kingston Y Penguins for 13 years.
One of the first things I remember about when I first joined is I could barely swim. I did not like getting in the water. I'm doing swimming full-time now that I'm finished school. And my end goal is to be part of Team Canada. I have cerebral palsy, which affects my entirety of my right side of my body. The first couple of years that I started to compete, I kind of wanted to be there, but I kind of didn't. At that time, I didn't fully comprehend or understand where the sport could take me. Attitude started to change towards swimming around 2016, 2017. I began to get my times down and also get to qualify for regionals and not long after provincials. And it was around that time as well when I began to realize the potential at how far I could go, and with hard work and dedication, I could accomplish many great things.
My name is Nick Stryker, and I'm the head coach of the Kingston Y Penguins. On paper, it's a team of young athletes with physical disabilities and their able-bodied siblings, but it goes a lot deeper than that. The way that I look at it is it's a community for families who have a child with a physical disability. There's not very many places where people can do sports in Ontario and Canada, all over the place. There's just not very many opportunities for people who have physical disabilities to practice sports and learn new skills. So this is one of those opportunities. I was diagnosed when I was 9. I have CMT, Charcot-Marie tooth. It is a progressive condition, and at the time it wasn't very noticeable. It didn't impact anything that I was already doing. And it slowly started progressing as I got older, and the vision and the hearing are the most prominent at the moment. I joined the Penguins when I was about 10. So it was only a year after I was diagnosed. So I got lucky that my parents learned about the program so close to me being diagnosed. Because when I was 13 or 14 and playing soccer started to not become an option, I was already doing something that could remain an option. There's a lot of confusing things I've heard, at least being a parent of a child that has a physical disability. A lot to learn, a lot gets thrown at you, and it's helpful to be a part of that community. So there's so many different aspects of this, and primarily it's an opportunity for the kids to learn life skills through sport.
My name is Julia Silve, and my kids Nathan and Isaac are part of the YMCA Penguins swim program. I have twin boys. Nathan and Isaac are 8 years old.
My name's Isaac. My name's Nathan. I like diving off the block. I also like diving off the block.
Isaac was born with spina bifida. He has the 3rd degree type that we call it. It's the myomeningeal. With Isaac, he can't fully get his back legs up, so a good kicking motion. He's kind of in a fetal position almost, so trying to find different ways where he can use swimming and get those techniques to be geared more towards his kind of needs. Isaac needs a little bit more attention in some areas, and Nathan might need more attention in others. So they have their own independence, but also at the same time, they're together.
I was on the team until 18, and my sister was on the team with me as well for maybe 5 or 6 years, maybe a little bit longer even. And she's able-bodied, and it's another aspect of that community that's really important.
I wanted to create something that was similar to Variety Village, which is a fitness center for people with disabilities in Scarborough, but I wanted it to have more of a family focus. So I came to Kingston with the hope that I could start something. I didn't have access to a pool at that point. So my husband, John, and I decided that we would swim across Lake Ontario to raise awareness of funds. That's just sort of my fallback at some point. It's just like, I know what I can do, and I know that people care about what I'm doing. When I was young, I wanted to be physically active, and I would try every activity. And I finally found a sport, and I think what it was, I took 2 sports I enjoyed. I loved long distance running. I loved competitive swimming. And my brain one day just put those 2 together, and I came up with open water swimming. And I churned past all the competitive swimming records in my Guinness book, and there was all these open water swimming records. And I started to dream that day. And I started to realize that this was something I could do, and something that I could do incredibly well. And at the same point, I realized if I was going to do things, I could make a positive impact in the lives of others. And so my swims became also fundraisers for programs for kids with disabilities.
Vicki Keith is one of the greatest long-distance and open-water swimmers in the world. She holds 16 world records and has achieved many firsts in the world of swimming, including the first double crossing of Lake Ontario and the first crossing of all 5 Great Lakes. As a marathon swimmer, she swam continuously in a pool for over 129 hours and in open water for over 63 hours.
The Y came to me and they said, you know, we saw what you're doing, we love what you do. It fits with our mandate, and we would love to have your program at our Y. I actually started it as a volunteer. In the first 2 years of the program, I ran it as a volunteer, and the Y provided pool time. And then one day I went to the CEO and I said, you know, I really think this is a Y program, and I'd love it to be completely developed as a Y program. And so he accepted the program.
I'm Rob Adams, CEO of the YMCA of Eastern Ontario. The YMCA of Eastern Ontario provides programs and services and facilities that are open to all regardless of situation or socio-economic circumstance. The YMCA Penguins is an integral program that we offer because it takes those individuals that may have some physical limitations, but creates an atmosphere where it's equitable access and inclusive regardless of ability. And we feel that it's one of our most successful programs, and it has been really popular for a long time. Vicki Keith is our leader and our founder of the YMCA Penguins program. I've been thrilled to work alongside her over these last 4 years. There's very few people that I run into that don't know who Vicki Keith is. Everyone understands that she's an accomplished athlete, she's a great Canadian, but what many don't understand is how great she is at leading kids and families, and the humbleness she has and the passion she has to making sure everyone feels welcome.
So many of the things that I've learned in my open water swimming career brought me back to when I'm coaching and the lessons my young people need to learn. And to be able to share an open water swimming lesson or a lesson from another athlete that I coach, it's become a story. And that's been one of the most important things to me in coaching. is being able to relate to the young people and share a story with them so they realize whatever challenge they're facing is possible. I started the Penguins in 2001, and when the pandemic hit, my life had already changed immensely. About a month before the pandemic hit, my husband was diagnosed with a devastating illness. And as I tried to come to terms with that and figure out how to support him, the pandemic hit. And John's condition deteriorated so quickly that I realized that I needed a way to support John and the team at the same time. And so I brought on a new coach, Nick, who had been a para swimmer with the team, a national level swimmer. And I asked him if he'd be interested in supporting the team when I wasn't able to be there. When John passed away, I came back to the team and started imagining what else could I do? What more positive impact could I make? And Nick was doing so well with the team. I thought, you know, if Nick wants to coach this team, maybe this is the time to share with him the journey that I was on so that he could coach the team and I could move into supporting more programs across the province and helping more young people get into sport.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
With Vicki's vision of the importance of developing its future leaders, she was able to attain one of its former swimmers in Nick to take over the reins from Vicki temporarily to be its head coach. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard and what others have witnessed, Nick has done a really good job of fostering that same vision and growth that Vicki set out to do.
I stopped swimming when I was 18 and started volunteering one-on-one with the junior program. When I started doing the assistant coaching, it would be me kind of sitting in the background just listening to Vicki. I would give Vicki the phone and then I would have my headphones in so I can hear everything she's saying and just shadow her. And then it was just slowly building up more time that I was doing it on my own, still under her guidance. Vicki started the program with one of the goals being increasing parasport opportunities for people in Kingston to start, and her goal has remained expand that. So she moved on to the Variety Village Flames in Scarborough, and with her moving there, I then became the head coach here. I've always wanted to do something that I could give back to this community. I was working at the Y in a different job and she came up to my office one day and just asked if that's something I'm interested in. I remember pausing for like 15 seconds or something. And I was just thinking, yeah, actually, that's exactly what I want to do.
Having him as a coach now is going very well. He has experience of being an athlete, so he can give a lot of advice.
I think Nick was probably about 13 years old when he joined the team. He was one of those young people that you connected with immediately. He had a unique perspective of the world. He had a physical disability. He started to train. He was an incredible hard worker, very caring about his teammates as well. And he slowly built himself. He qualified for regionals, then provincials, and then nationals. Competed on the national stage at a number of competitions, and then came back and started volunteering with the team. And so he's been part of the team in every aspect.
I'm in a wheelchair, and the lanes that we have, I make sure they're not in the middle of the pool, they're on one of the edges, so that I'm able to go back and forth on the pool deck alongside the pool, and I can follow people and really get a good look at the technique and what we can work on. I'm legally blind, so lanes 1 and 2 are the lanes that are close enough for me to see and really offer insight into stroke development and all the things that I need to be aware of as a coach. If I really want to focus on one person's skill in particular, I'll put them in lane 1 so that I'm looking at them 6 feet away. The hearing is the other part of it, which is probably the most challenging aspect of it. But the solution that I ended up figuring out was I got an old iPhone and put it in a waterproof case. And I put that iPhone on the edge of the pool, close to the swimmers, so that when they're standing at the edge of the pool, they can speak into the phone, they can pick it up and talk into it. And I call that iPhone from my personal phone that I have hooked up to headphones that I keep in my ears. Then blocks out all the other background noise so that when they need to say something and they need me to hear it, I can hear it. It makes something that would have been very, very challenging seamless. The junior group is more focused on the learn to swim side of things, and then as they progress into the development and the senior side of things, they start going to meets and can start progressing through the ranks all the way up to the Paralympics. It's an opportunity for the able-bodied sibling to do something alongside their brother or sister and get to know the para community as well, which is really important. A big part of it as well is normalizing it, because growing up you might see someone that has a disability, maybe in your class at school, and you might have questions that you don't feel comfortable asking or you don't know the right way to ask. And when the able-bodied siblings come into the team, they get to experience that environment and they get to learn as well, and then now they know how to interact with people with disabilities. Probably a quarter of the team are able-bodied siblings as well. So it was really cool just to see that mix of people, abilities and ages.
Being a parent with a child with extra needs, as they go through life, you just want them to fit in, and Nick makes them fit in. It's nice that Nick has kind of something that Isaac and him kind of share, both have extra needs. So it's positive and it's encouraging to see how Nick has overcome all these. It makes me feel confident going forward in life that, okay, it will be great. Isaac and Nathan can still do everything that every other kid can do, so he's made that really a positive thing.
It wasn't until I started being an assistant coach with Vicki in 2020 that it all clicked and it came together and it made sense that this is way bigger than I thought it was. It's not really about swimming. It's about all these other things, and swimming is the medium to achieve those things.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
There's a lot of things in this world that are difficult for people to do, difficult for people to overcome. People get stumped on a lot of things and don't know the answers. And like everyone, that's just a part of life, right? And the beautiful part about what Vicki taught me as someone that was on the team, and then it really solidified this when I started working alongside her, was that if you take everything one step at a time, one stroke at a time in the context of swimming, and it applies to everything, you'll end up getting where you want to be eventually. It's just making baby steps, moving towards that big goal, having smaller goals along the way, and celebrating those goals as well. It's a lesson that is surrounded by a bunch of other lessons that seem irrelevant at the time, but then you get a broader perspective and it all seems to make sense. And it's not just about swimming, right? There was one point that I realized. I was just talking to Vicki and I was like, that's not really what we're doing here, is it? This is way bigger than that. And that was a really cool thing to realize.
Seeing not only Nick, but other people with similar disabilities or challenges as myself does give a lot of motivation. Because when you see someone, say, cerebral palsy, or in a wheelchair, and you see them compete at the level they are on international level, you can look at them and say to yourself, if they can do it, then I can do it as well.
It's also given me this opportunity to become a better coach, because when I stop and I look at my athletes and the uniquenesses that each of them move, I've had to identify technically how to support each athlete differently. And so I think it's made me a better coach all around, and being able to almost internalize what movement that athlete is doing, what their challenge is in making that movement, and then creating a plan to help them move forward that way. And that ability to analyze technique has been really powerful. And I think the other thing is this concept of being a transformational coach. I don't coach swimming. I coach young people who choose swimming as their sport, and I use the tool of swimming to support them in learning life lessons.
I'm really pleased on the fact that the White Penguins program is going to continue in whatever capacity that is, but also look at what other opportunities presents itself to provide a version of the Penguins across a larger region.
I feel like the Penguins program is just a little family. You get to know the families, you get to hear different resources in the community because other parents have been through something. I know the boys are quite close with the other little kids that are in their program, and they always play together afterwards. They never veer away. They always like that connection and that kind of cooperation.
No problem, no matter how big or small it is, doesn't have a solution. Everything has a solution, you just haven't figured it out yet. That's the thing that I want to pass on to these athletes as well. And I like to think that I set a good example for everyone on the team, especially the ones who have disabilities, that I'm on deck in a wheelchair with headphones in my ears, with this little walkie-talkie-like device that I have so I can communicate with the swimmers. There's very clearly some things that I struggle with when I'm on deck, but they see me show up every day and do a job and do it well. And I want that to translate into them understanding that even though some things may be harder, there's always a solution. You just have to figure it out.
Director Nick Appleton. Producers Nick Appleton, Tyler Cameron. Development producer Julia Lee. Editor Rod Christie. Camera Nick Appleton, Christian Cantaruti. Audio post Colin Caddies. Narrator Jim Van Horn. Integrated Describe video consultant M. Williams. Supervising producer Jennifer Johnson. Content development specialist Karen McGee. Manager programming Lizanne Gagne. Director Content Development and Production Karen Nye. Vice President Content Development and Operations John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2023 AMI Accessible Media Inc.
An AMI original production.